do I have some fun things to show you and talk to you about today. No, I'm talking about a rusty how-to. Rusty how-to. All right. Oh, nice to be in level 007 purple Delta today. Let's get into it. As you saw, folks, I got lots to get into today. This is a chock full, packed to the brim, just overflowing video today. I'm going to try to bring some energy, not too much, obviously. Let's not want to overdo it here or pull a hammy. I didn't stretch like I should have this morning. But we're going to get into a bunch of various things that we have bought and are preparing to sell that I want to tell you about so you can learn. You can learn this. That's what this entire channel is about. I'm a reseller. Peaches, my right-hand man, is a reseller as well. We got a whole crew down here just working, 24/7, just trying to get stuff up there into the hands of collectors and people who just appreciate these things that we have found. Take a look at the most recent thing that I found. We'll start there and we'll work our way through oodles of others. Guys, this is a funny story. A local thrift store that I go to regularly because I find some decent stuff at, there are some usual suspects and people that come around there going in to buy. I see the same people all the time. Sometimes I beat them there. Sometimes they beat me there. But we all roughly go in at the same time. We got the guy who gets the jewelry, right? We got the folks that get the toys and everything else in between. And I came in, and the couple that comes in and gets the toys, a lot of times, they beat me to this. It was a big bag of Legos, right? Bricks and everything else you see here. Now, I happen to know that these people sell at some the antique stores as well. And wouldn't you know it, by the next week, they had bagged up all of the Lego minifigures and things together, and then they had split up all the bricks, and they're putting them in baggies like this to sell separately. Well, they had 2 bags, all the minifigures they had split up in 2 bags for $20 a bag, so $40. And you know what, folks? I still took the plunge. I think that they bought that whole bag of Legos for 10 or 15 bucks. They're going to make good money off of it. They've already made money from me. They'll never know, unless they see this video and know who I am, that I was the one that bought it from them. But I'll tell you what, folks, what I did was I went through, and this is not even all of them, but you can see there's a variety of full figures here. We've got multiple Batmans and Robins. We've got several different Spider-Men. Other guys, in another baggie, I have a bunch of Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers from Star Wars. Great stuff here, folks. This is all just sort of mainly odds and ends here. This is animals. This is heads and hats and incomplete bodies. We've got some other pieces here that went to probably one particular set. And then tons of weapons. I mean, swords, guns, bows. There's some Ninjago stuff in here. There's other things. And all that to say, $40. I'm going to make probably over $40 on just these individual figures. A lot of times these Batmans will sell for $10 to $20 by themselves. Some of these Spider-Men, same thing, $10, $15. I'll probably make my money back, my investment back off this bag and a little bit. Plus, then I got all this left, and this is just minifigures. Folks, minifigures are, they can be very valuable. And so, anyhow, when you're out looking, don't pass those by just because they're used. Look in there, dig around for a second in the bin and see if you can find any figures. Figure out how much they're asking and kind of do the math. Definitely do your own research, but this is a great area. They're so small. They weigh practically nothing. They're very easy to package and ship and cheap to boot. So they're a great thing that we buy and sell regularly. Got a bunch of these postcards here, but I'm not going to go through all of them in this video. I'm only going to show you a couple. I'll be dropping another postcard video in a couple of days, folks, so look for that. We're going to go through this entire stack. I'm going to show you what they are, why I bought them, and I'm going to talk briefly again, as I have in previous videos, about the different reasons why these can be very valuable and why they're an excellent thing to buy and sell. Let's move over to these, since I teased you with it a little bit. These are postcards that I bought yesterday. And at first, you're going to look at these and probably think to yourself, okay, yeah, it's old, kind of ugly in some cases. Not a whole lot going on here. You can see this one here is Washington, a little kid sitting there. You can see $2 is what I spent on it. $1 on this one. It's terrible condition here. And then this one. Now, of the 4 of these postcards, believe it or not, only one of these am I going to keep intact as a postcard, and it's this one. I'm going to sell it as a postcard. I don't commonly practice what I'm about to tell you, but I do on occasion, and that is sometimes I will take a postcard that is damaged, not in great condition, wouldn't sell for much, would be, in some cases, these would be things that people would put in 25 or 50 cent bins at antique stores or stuff just to get rid of them. They're not really worth a whole lot to anybody else, but I'll tell you why I bought these. I'm going to flip these all over, and maybe you're going to see before I even say it, based on the way that I'm going to lay these out here, why I bought these particular ones. Okay. And then here's the final one right here. And the content on this is quite nice. Midwinter, Boca, California. It's just an interesting aerial view of a California town in winter. Now, I don't know anything about this town. I see trellises. I see a big bridge there and a large train, as you can see, which is just a cool view. Somebody's going to be interested in that, but the reason I bought it, folks, and all of these for that matter, is because of the stamps themselves. If you go through and look at antique postcards, very often you're going to find, let me see if I'm going to pull a couple up. Well, the very first one I grabbed off the stack is this one, the Benjamin Franklin 1 cent stamp that is green, and that's one particular version. Here's another one. This one's older. Another 1 cent Benjamin Franklin stamp. Okay. I think that says, yeah, it's in 1920. Okay. And then I'm going to see if I can find, I should have grabbed these and done this ahead of time, but doggone yes, I know I'll find one. We'll see if I can make my point by just sifting through a couple here to see. Oh, man, of course. Rusty? All right, took me a second. I didn't want you to have to wait. It's this one right here. It's a Washington, President Washington 1 cent. So these are the most common ones you're going to see, these. And I mean 99 out of 100 that you're going to go through are going to have, if they're U.S. stamps, from the early 1900s into the 20s and even up into the 30s, those are the ones you're going to see. But these folks are unusual. The stamps themselves, I don't know how many of them would be considered terribly rare, but in general, they are rare in the sense that you're not going to come across them if you're looking at postcards all that often. This is a purple color Washington 3 cent stamp, which is unusual. You don't see them a whole lot. Then over here, you've got a Harding one of 1.5 cents. Okay. And then over here, well, I'll talk about those last. Here you've got this U.S. Parcel Post. It says it's a post office clerk. This is just a variation. It's a larger one. I don't come across these used very often. And then these two, which are awesome. These are 2 cent Washington stamps. There are a couple different variations of these, but these would be what they call, what they've been considered a shield stamp. So I can't remember what the Scott number is on these, but this one in particular is a very clean example for one that has been used and canceled on. This one, not as much, but you can see that this says Charleston on it here, and it's canceled over that. The point is, I spent $1 or $2 on all of these. That says 3, but it was less than that. And each of these stamps is worth more than that. So what I'm going to do, since a lot of these cards are not interesting content-wise and really not valuable or damaged to the point I can't really sell them, is I'm going to soak these. I'm going to remove these stamps, and then I'm going to flatten them out, and I'm going to sell these stamps just for the stamp. So that is one thing you can do. Don't always just look now at the content on the front of a postcard, which may or may not have any interest. And just because one might be damaged also does not mean you should pass it by. You should do one sweep looking at the front of a card to determine content of the card and the condition of the front. Then you should do another pass on the back. And on the back, you're looking at dates, you're looking at messages, you're looking at the stamp, and you're looking at the cancellation. All of those categories of things could be a reason to purchase that postcard. There are some, for example, there's a memorial stamp of Harding. It's a 2-cent stamp. It was made after he died, and they only issued it for a very short amount of time. They were, I believe, came out in Ohio first, and then in Washington, D.C. as well. Ohio was where he was from, I believe. And those, if they have a certain number of perforations, can be worth thousands of dollars. And it is possible to find those on postcards because it was a 2-cent stamp at the time when 2 cents is what was required to post these. So, next time you're out at a place where you're looking at postcards, go to the Ohio and the Washington, D.C., the Washington section, because, there's a greater likelihood probably that people who purchased them in that area would have been the first to send them. And so all that to say, keep a lookout. These, just because it's a bad or ugly or not interesting or damaged card doesn't mean it may not have valuable postcard, a postal stamp on the back. Okay, pause for a moment. Guys, it's been a few days since I made a video, and I'm just having a really difficult time getting back into the routine, and let me just show you right now what it is that's distracting me today, because it's kind of ridiculous. It's hard to work right now. I'm just put these down in front of my computer. These are all they're all beaters. They're not the old ones, but I got a bunch of these little, I just find these at thrift stores and stuff, 50 cents, $1, and I just grab them. Once I get a bunch more than this, I'll probably listen to sell, but it's fun to have these up here. But it is a little distracting at the same time. Now I'm going to tell you a funny story here really fast about the Goodwill bins store. Goodwill bins, that's sometimes they're freestanding. The one near me is connected to a regular Goodwill, but basically it's just a bunch of big bins with tons of stuff dumped in there, and you dig through with your hands and you find stuff that you think might be valuable or you want. And you go up, they weigh it, and based on the weights in certain categories, that's how you pay. And it's usually really cheap. This is what I found today, and I'll tell you the punchline of why this is a funny story to me in just a moment. But what we're looking at, 3 different things. This right here is a bag. It has been opened, but it's still mostly full of a variety of these paper trick or treat bags from the early 1980s. I looked these up. They're around 1981, early 1980s. A person could sell these as a lot or sell them individually for just a couple bucks each. If I sold this as a lot, I'd get somewhere between $15 and $20 for it, even though it's open, because there's so many left. I'd have to count how many there are. Or I could sell them for a couple bucks a piece, maybe even $1 a piece, and make my money that way. They're cheap and easy to ship. They weigh basically nothing. I would probably just fold them once and stick them in a cardboard sleeve and send them that way, just for a forever stamp is all you have to do. This right here is, obviously, it's a die-cast piece of metal, and it is a card. Does anybody know what this is from? I'll give you just a couple seconds to think about it. Those of you who would know probably knew right away. If you guessed that this is a Monopoly board game piece, you would be correct. There are a variety of different ones, but the car is one of them. And I don't remember which age, edition this is from. But people buy these all the time on eBay as replacements. They need a replacement. They lost it, right? A replacement. They buy a game. It has all of them except for this one. So they go on. People will spend anywhere from $3 to $6 to buy this, okay? And that was just at the bottom of one of those bins. And then this right here is a really cool woven strap of some kind. It's fairly short, so it's not for a guitar or a bass or anything like that. Also maybe too thin even for a mandolin. So it's probably for, say, a camera or something like that. But it's nice. It's got leather straps at the bottom you can tie around stuff. And all that to say, I got these 3 items. I took them up there and I put them down, and it registered. At first, it didn't register as anything. And then it registered as 16 cents. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have 16 cents. I don't have any change in my pocket. And I didn't have a single dollar bill. I was just using a card, And so the lady's like, oh, I think I may have it. She's like, you know what, just take it. And I said, well, thank you, ma'am. That's very nice. Next time I come in here, I'll just round up. Because they always ask you, hey, would you like to round up for, for whatever the place is that you're at. They usually ask you if you want to round up for charity for whatever the charity's going for. And so I walked out of there with these 3 items. I paid $0. I paid nothing. So all that to say, I think I could sell this strap for anywhere from between $10 and $20. I haven't looked it up yet. This car, let's just call it $3 to $5. And then this, I'll get $15 to $20 out of eventually. So let's say 15 here, let's say 10 here, 25, and let's just say 5 here. I'm going to make at least $30 off of selling these, and I paid nothing. So thank you, Goodwill, for that today. You've certainly got lots of money from me over the years. But that's what can happen if you get really lightweight stuff at the Goodwill bins, like paper products or tiny little items. Like sometimes dice are in the bottom. Sometimes little broken pieces of jewelry that are made of silver or gold you can find. Sometimes you can find money. One of the ladies that was there pulled out 4 pennies and said, I'm rich. And I said, I wonder how their scale measures that. Is it so good that if you put 4 cents on the scale, it'll charge you 4 cents? And she's like, I don't know, I'll try. She ran up there, she dropped it on, it registered nothing. So I was like, that's free 4 cents at Goodwill. So look for the light stuff because you will get the best deal that way. $2 for this. This is a bolo. Now, I get these a lot of times. They are made of sterling silver, and they are some sort of Southwest design or motif. They typically have coral or turquoise and or both, sometimes even things like bear claws or bone or different stuff like that. And this one's not made of silver, but it is a very beautiful piece of what appears to be like an agate or something like that, a picture agate or jasper, something like that. Beautiful little stone, polished. Somebody will like that. For $2, that's probably a $12, $14 item right there. Here was a nice piece of costume jewelry, a beautiful little clear rhinestone necklace, built the way I see a lot of things made. On the clasp, I looked at it where it opens up right here. I'm going to flip her over, and I looked, and what I found was it has a brand name, Vendome, Vendome. And I looked it up, and that costume brand sometimes sells for $40, $50, $60 or more, other times in the teens and 20s. Not exactly sure on this yet, but I bet something that looks nice like this, it's missing 0 stones, probably will be able to be sold for between $20 and $30, especially if I'm patient. And then this right here, I'm excited about this little lot. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to sell them individually or if I'm going to sell them as a lot or what. But what we've got here is a bunch of U.S. military, different branches. I'm guessing U.S.N with the anchor would indicate the U.S. Navy. And then we have this right here. Another thing with wings and an eagle. So I don't know if this is Air Force, if that's insignia of a particular branch of the military. I'm not familiar with. I don't know. And we got one that just says U.S. This one says duty. Okay, it doesn't have the little protector pins on the back of this one, but I've got spares, so I'll just add those in. And then this, which is really awesome too. I'm also assuming that this is some sort of naval, because you've basically got little ships, what looks like water waves, and swords coming down in there in the middle and on either side. Really cool. It's a silver tone, but I do not believe that it's made out of silver. I think it's just made to look that way. These little numbers here in the back, oftentimes with pieces of jewelry and other stuff, if it has a model number or a serial number or something on it, you can look them up and try to find comps. It'll depend on how much these are selling for individually, whether or not I want to put them in a lot or not. If they're not selling for a ton individually, of course, I'll sell them as a group because they all have the same military theme. And military-themed pins, medals, awards, medallions, things like that have a pretty darn strong collector base. So the next time you see these things, pause for a moment, research, and if you can buy them in groups, like baggies of stuff for $5 or $10, and you could potentially make $5 or $10 off of each of them individually, then it is an awesome score. Real fast, folks, I just wanted to drop another tag on here to just tell you, keep a lookout. Guys, I've been finding oodles of these lately. Lately, I've been finding tons of these gold-filled glasses. 2 days ago, I found a lot. It was in a baggie, okay? They were broken, much like, here, I got one right here. It's kind of like it right here, I believe. Yeah, see how that's broken off the edge right there? People, these things, it's amazing that they last as long as they have, but a lot of them don't, and so people will throw them in little bags. Now, if you find these at antique stores, a lot of times people know what they are, and here's another one that's broken. They will put them anywhere, price them anywhere from, on the low end, real low end, $10. A lot of times, though, they'll be between $20 and $30 for one pair of these. And that's kind of high, right? But sometimes people will throw them in baggies. I bought a bag of 8 pair that were all broken like this for $10, okay? They were all 10 and 12 karat gold filled. That means they're gold plated, okay? A percentage of it's gold plated, and it says it on the nose piece, and it oftentimes can say it on the stem here as well. I came back, I threw them on a scale to show the gram weight. I threw them up into the bullion category, gold bullion category on eBay. I sold them within 2 hours for $110. I paid $10 for things just like this. Now, I removed the glasses so that the weight on the scale that showed it represented the true metal weight, because obviously the glass lenses themselves are heavier and they won't mess with that weight. You can sell them without even having to show the gram weight. You can sell them with or without the lenses in them. And obviously they'll sell better if you sell them when they're intact and in good condition, like good vintage ones. These have pink, like a rosy pink lens, which is unusual. Don't see that a whole lot. But there's all kinds, guys. I could sell, if they're in good condition, decent condition, and they're intact, you can sell them individually. Some of them command high prices, very high prices, particularly ones that are very, very old and have very round lenses. Or sometimes ones like this where they have the side here that slides in and out, they kind of retract. That's cool. These are made of sterling silver. The rest of these are made of steel. This is like a steel, and then the rest of these are gold filled. I got several more in here as well. Guys, don't snooze on these. I had a gentleman one time bought a bunch from me on eBay, and then about a week later, old Rusty gets a letter in the mail. It's this man saying, hey, I buy these all the time. I repair them. I sell them for other things. I'll buy any that you get, and he quoted me a price based on weight. And this is kind of his way of, I think, kind of undercutting his costs maybe on eBay, also getting return customers, and also allowing a buyer to buy outside and to basically save money that way. So I haven't taken him up on it because I'm just very deep in our eBay store, but these are definitely something. Do not snooze on them. If they're $20 or $30, I wouldn't risk it. But if you can find grab bags of broken ones, or if you can find them for $10 or less a piece, it's a green light as far as I'm concerned. All right, time to talk about things that are made of paper. Paper goods are awesome, folks. They can sell for tons of money, and oftentimes you can get them for cents on the dollar. This particular one cost me 50 cents, okay? Why did I buy it? Well, it's an interest. It's very old. I don't know what school, SPS, this represents, but it's a banner here for a school. But these young men who look to be, you know, in the 12, 13-year age probably bracket are holding these old vintage tennis rackets. And the reason I bought this is that I actually have some old tennis rackets, one that actually looks identical to this one here in the middle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of this. I'm going to edit my current listing, and I'm going to add this photo in there as a part of the lot. When you can do that sometimes, take a photograph to match with an item itself. Sometimes if you can sell, a photograph with the item in the photograph, and then you're selling the item with it, that will enhance the likelihood of it being sold. It's a cool little trick that I try at times when I have the ability. I was so happy and excited to find this, folks, because I'm a big photo booth nut. I just have kind of a long history with photo booths. I love photo booths. I love photo booth photos, and I collect them. And this one cost me $1, which is fantastic. Look up photo booth photo, and you'll find that these things often sell on the low end $5, usually all the way up. Some of them sell for hundreds of dollars. That's not a joke. And my camera is not fuzzy. This photo is really fuzzy. So there was a couple things happening with this photo. First off, it did not zoom in correctly. It was not very crisp. And also there's some sort of error. You see by my thumb? There is some sort of a photographic error in the printing process that caused this little white looking thing to be in every single one of these frames. It's almost like the camera zoomed in on some sort of piece of damage on the lens or the cover instead of on the background, on the actual subject, and so it ends up being blurry. I could sell this if I put in photographic error on that. The fact that it is an intact strip with four different images rather, this will sell probably more in the $20 range or above, and I paid just $1 for it. Okay, now what I have here, folks, I'm going to lay these out so you can see, are a variety of what would be considered Victorian era die cuts. Okay, and this one is a little baggy. It's actually got multiple ones in here that I need to take out. Little boy, you can see some flowers. This one looks like a head popping up out of a flower, a little child's head. Here's another one that's really cool. It's a full figure, all right, that has been at one point taken out of the scrapbook, as you can see, and then is being sold as just an individual die cut. $1 is all that cost me. This one cost me $2. And so these are sometimes advertised in products. Other times they were just taken out of old scrapbooks. People will do this. Here's a girl or young man, I'm not sure, with a big old dog. Animals sell really well. And then here's another one right here of this young girl. Very beautiful colors here. The blue and the hair, $1 on that as well. Sarsaparilla, 1888 household calendar here, which is really cool. Another $1. These things, folks, there's a ton of them out there. So I don't expect these to sell like hotcakes, like right out the door. But it will be easy for me to sell these and make money since I paid $1 or $2. You know, I could put each of these up for maybe $8, $10, $12 and accept offers on. But again, if I spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I spent less than $10 on all of these, okay? So if I just sell each of these for $5, which would not be hard to do, I'm making my money. Many times I can get these for $1 or $2, usually $2 about the most, or cents, a few cents, I'll do it. But it's harder and harder to find these. If a person has taken the time to pull these out of an old scrapbook, a lot of times they want to charge more for them than that. Last up here, this large black and white photograph. Now, why, Rusty, did you buy this? It's kind of an awkward photo of a man riding on a horse, just moving through time. I did mention a second ago that animal stuff sells pretty darn well, and this is no different. This is a horse, obviously, with a man in a full suit, in a derby hat, riding out someplace. You got this old car in the background. It's an action shot. At first, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe a horse enthusiast would be interested in this unusual shot. Then I turned it over, and let's read what this says here. It says, San Francisco to Cleveland, and the New York Acme. 3 prints, Kai Acme, March 8th. The Chief of Longview, owned by Mrs. W.P. Rolfe, San Francisco, is said to be the most valuable saddle horse in the world, worth $25,000. Harry Daniels is showing the Chief's paces, so this horse has got a name now. His name is the Chief. The other thing we know is that this was sent on March 8th, and up here on the back of the photo paper we have March 18th, 1926. So this was taken on March 8th. 10 days later, they got this photo made, actually like put together. It's got a stamp on it that shows you the date. Okay, so this information matches so far. And then we just have to take this as it is. It's worth $25,000. So someone out there who's interested in horses, horse racing, horse history, black and white photographs, the fact that it is an interesting photo and has this significant provenance and information that matches up, that is why I paid $10 for this photograph. Now, how much am I going to put this up for? Well, such an unusual and interesting photograph, I'm probably going to throw it up for $100, believe it or not. And I'm going to accept a best offer. I'll probably put this in a sleeve, a protective sleeve with some cardboard behind it to make sure it does not bend. I'll probably sell it in, ship it in a priority mail document mailer. All right. So I'm gonna pony up another $10, $12 to ship this to a person. So I'm gonna factor that in. But I think that this will sell. May not sell in a week. This might be something that sticks around for 3 to 6 months. But I will definitely make money on it. Anytime you find something that is interesting, unusual, and especially if it has information to go along with it. If it's people, do you know their names? Do you know where the photo was taken at? The more information you have just equips you to make a better listing title and also helps you draw in that specific buyer for that specific item. Thanks for sticking around, folks. I'm real busy. I'm going to jump right back into it. Good luck hunting out there, and be looking for another video in just a couple of days.
Beat-o, boop, boop, let's go make some money.
Rusty hair.